All right, everyone, let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today on our sixth webinar. We have something really exciting for you today, some valuable information on how to present yourself. So joining today, let me introduce you to the team. I am Francisco Siganan. I am the team lead. With me today, I have Coach Krista Shambly and Kirsten Jensen. All right, everyone. So today we have a very exciting topic for you guys, presenting yourself. So we're going to be going over 6 components today that are really valuable to be the most prepared person in the room. First one is embracing a professional appearance, how you look, carrying yourself with confidence, identifying and promoting your skills. Another good one is engaging in your social media. This is really important. How do you present yourself in your social media? You definitely don't want to give yourself a negative appearance in your social media. What does that mean? Your privacy settings. Example, we don't want to see, or the recruiter or the company, if you do interview and you're going through the process, they really don't want to see you downing a bottle of champagne on Monday morning at 7 a.m. So taking away, negative photos, comments, definitely would benefit you. Again, social media nowadays, we live in it. It's everywhere. So please be mindful on what you're posting and commenting because they will see it. Another thing is do your research on the company. This is something that we do stress to everyone. You want to know the culture of the company, who you're hiring, who's going to be doing the interview. Could it be the hiring manager? Could be the HR person? Could be a panel. So that's something that you definitely want to get familiarized with so you're more prepared. And then also meeting in person versus online. Those are 2 different scenarios that you're put in. So you're going to have 2 different type of presences when you're there. So we're going to be going into depth into each of these bulletins. So I'm going to let Kirsten Jensen take it away.
All right. Thank you, Cisco. All right. So we all know that first impressions can make or break, an interview or just, whatever you're going to be doing. A first impression is really a great thing to be able to move on to the next level. So just a couple of things to think about. Punctuality, even if it is in person or on Zoom or digital, making sure that you are prepared beforehand. You're making sure that you're showing up to the site 15 minutes beforehand. This is not just to make sure, traffic or finding parking, but it's also to give yourself some time to prepare. You can, go use the restroom, make sure that you're looking great, and take some deep breaths because it's stressful. You're making a first impression here. It is stressful. So just making sure you're taking that time to take breathers and taking that moment to look over your notes. Like Cisco said, being able to have that research on the company is very important. So taking that time, if you're punctual, you can just take a breather, look over your notes, feel really prepared and really confident going into that. Going into that as well, like having your materials ready. Even if it is a Zoom interview, I always like to tell people to print out their resume and being able to go back to that when they're speaking. If you look at my experience or if you look at my education, it's right in front of me. Here's my resume. When you're going into in person, having that printed off so you can hand that to them, so that shows that you're prepared and that you can speak to your background. Especially if you do not have a background in healthcare going into healthcare, you can really highlight what your transferable skills are to be able to land that second interview or land that job. Body language is huge. I always, with my grads, if they have an interview and it's Zoom, let's see it. Let's see how if you're really close up to the camera, if you're slouching, if you're moving around, just being able to be aware that your body language conveys, if you're confident or not. I speak with my hands a lot. So when I have an in-person interview, I like to kind of just hold my hands and kind of hold them together instead of just having them go everywhere, because that's what happens when I get nervous. And technology. It's really important to make sure that you are prepared. Even if it is an in-person, what type of navigation app are you using to get there? Is it going to work? Do you see if there's any major traffic issues? If it is a Zoom interview, making sure that you don't have any distractions on your computer. So before this meeting, I shut off my email and my Teams so that I didn't have any notifications going off to distract me, so I could be in the moment and present. That is something that's really important, especially since we always have some type of technology around us. Being able to just put it away and be present and focused in on that, that first impression you're going to have. That is really, really important. And also just making sure that the Zoom link will work, or that you have your Zoom updated. Half the time when I click onto Zoom, it has an update. So it takes about a minute or two to pull up. So not waiting until the last minute to make sure that you have all of your technology in a row. And then I see that we have a hand raised. If you could please write your comment in the chat as we go through. If you have questions, you can add them into the chat and we can be able to address those kind of later on after we finish up this presentation. That'd be wonderful. I'm going to pass this over to Coach Krista for her to dive into the next slide.
Awesome. All right. So I'm going to be talking about how we can demonstrate professionalism when interacting with employers and during interviews. So first and foremost, active listening is really, really important. And the way that active listening is conveyed is through body language. So think facial expressions, nodding, smiling, using confirmation words, saying yes, like continuing the conversation. You want it to be as conversational as possible. You really want to avoid it being very, rigid and that, conversation back and forth, answer question. Make it as much of a conversation as you can. And that can be done by practicing active listening. Eye contact is incredibly important. It's very powerful, and it's going to help you make an impression. So when you're asked a question, typically our eyes will wander to the side or off. Don't try to, control that. Just make sure that you're always bringing it back and you're connecting with the interviewer. Try to make eye contact with them when you're answering the question. But while you're thinking about your question, it's okay to look away or think about it for a moment. When you're on Zoom, something that's really important to note is that making eye contact with the screen is not going to simulate that eye contact. You need to make sure you're looking at the camera, how I'm doing right now. And you don't want to stare into it. That's why it's important to make sure that you're looking away and just remember throughout the interview, eye contact. And then we have engagement. So this is a combination of asking questions and being engaged in the interview, and also practicing active listening. And as well as Coach Kirsten mentioned, no distractions. So, no kids running around, make sure your door is closed, there's no construction sounds, your phone is on silent. Those are all really important things to show that you're prioritizing that time meeting with them and you're not distracted by anything else. And then, of course, sharing information. So research the company. Like the other coaches have said before, this is so, so important. Our employers that we've talked with say that this is the number one thing that they see our grads struggle with, is not researching the company prior. So research the company and show what you know. Mention their mission and values when you're in the interview. Talk about how that aligns with your own personal mission and values, and that's really going to help you make a great impression. And then, of course, thinking before you speak. It's okay to pause and take a moment to think about the question that's being asked, or even some people like to repeat the question back so that they can fully process it. No one expects you to have an interview right off the bat. So take a moment, breathe. It's okay to answer and think about your response. Building on that, you want to make sure you're mindful of the time. So make sure you're not spending too much time on one interview question. Respond, in a few sentences, and then move on to the next question. You want to make sure you cover everything that needs to be covered and you're not providing too much information. And then, of course, focusing on relevant experience. If you don't have prior healthcare work experience, you can focus on those transferable skills that go into healthcare. So, customer service, conflict resolution, any types of process and procedures that you've been a part of, navigating EMR systems during your externship. It can be things you learned during your education as well. You can highlight those as well. And then finally, be very careful with the amount of personal information that you share in an interview. it can really be detrimental to an interview if you share something that maybe the employer perceives as something that would make you not as good of a candidate. So an example of this would be, sharing that you have children, talking about how you have vacation in a month and you want to coordinate PTO. All of these things can be discussed later on in the hiring process, but we want to make sure that there's nothing in the interview stage that will take you out of the game. And then let's see. All right, so I'm going to pass this back over to Francisco.
All right, perfect, perfect. All right, everyone. So we have something a little bit different that we're going to be doing this webinar. We figured that we want to do something fun, something that, everyone can engage in. So we're going to do a little bit of a role play. Today we have a special guest star. Today we have our lead talent acquisition, Kristen Snell. She is part of the recruiting team here at AlliedUP. So we're going to be doing something a little bit different than usual. So we're going to do a scenario where I'm going to play a bad interviewer and then a good interviewer. And I want you guys to let us know, what are the things that I'm doing wrong or some of the key points that I'm saying that I shouldn't say. So this should be very fun, and we're going to go ahead and get started. And Kristen, you want to give a quick little intro to everyone so they know who you are?
Hi, everyone. I'm Kristen, the talent acquisition lead here at AlliedUP. I have primarily been recruiting only in healthcare, and I have conducted thousands of interviews. So what you learned today from the CCG team is correct. I've seen the most capable not move on simply because of how they presented themselves. So I'm really excited to do this role play with Francisco here. So we'll go ahead and get started. Okay. Good afternoon, Francisco. Thank you for meeting with me today. How are you?
I'm okay. Thank you.
Oh, well, that's great to hear. Let's start by getting to know you a bit. Could you tell me a little bit about yourself?
I've done a little bit of this, a little bit of that, little mainly just, just caregiving at the moment. Just mainly here, I really just need a job, if I'm being honest.
Okay. So just to clarify, are you familiar with anything that we do here at AlliedUP?
The only thing I do know that you guys are a staffing agency and you guys place people. Is that right?
Yeah, that's partially correct. Here at AlliedUP, we not only place exceptional healthcare professionals, we also coach them to excel in those positions. So would you mind describing a time where you had to handle a high pressure situation, and what did you do to manage that?
There was actually a time where, I was working at a care facility, had more people to care for, which was okay for me because I mean, I got to stay longer and then I got paid for extra time. So,
Oh, okay. Well, that sounds like you're able to handle pressure, which is good. So this role requires the ability to adapt to change and learn continuously. How do you feel about that?
oh, I'm not too sure about that. I'm pretty comfortable in doing what I already like to do. Um, but if there's a role that's still open for me, I'm still okay to take it.
Okay, well, that I appreciate your honesty. So let's turn it over to you. Do you have any questions about the company or the position?
No questions, but I do have a vacation that's coming up. Is there any chance I can get some information when I can schedule my PTO?
Sure, we can discuss that after the next steps, but for now, I will be in touch with you within the next 5 business days, okay?
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. So we want to know your thoughts on this. So type in the chat, how you thought that interview went, any observations that you saw in Francisco, any reactions that you saw in Kristen, any thoughts? Feel free to unmute as well if you prefer to speak. Yes, he did definitely seem uninterested in the position. Definitely very vague. Oh, he didn't seem very enthusiastic.
Good ones.
Hmm.
Yeah, this is all good stuff. Not good asking about PTO. He mentioned his vacation, body language. What kind of body language did you see, Oscar? Yes, definitely laid back in in the chair. You want to make sure you're sitting up right, not smiling. Yeah, this is all really good observations. Awesome. Any more thoughts before we jump into the didn't research the company? It's a big one.
So I guess, would you hire him?
Come on, guys, I need a job.
He needs to go on his vacation. Nope.
All right.
Sorry, Cisco. They're passing on you this time.
Yeah.
Let's see if you can. Let's see if you can do better.
Redeem yourself. Let's go.
Redemption.
All right. So good afternoon, Francisco. Thank you for meeting with me today. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I appreciate the opportunity to discuss how I can bring any contributions here to AlliedUP.
Oh, that's great to hear. Let's start by getting to know you a bit. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. So my experience is mainly in primary care, working as a caregiver. I have some experience as a medical assistant. My passion is providing support and compassion for people in my community.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. Your dedication to caregiving and your experience as a MA is exactly the kind of background we value here at AlliedUP. Are you familiar with the services we provide here besides staffing?
I do. I understand that AlliedUP not only places healthcare professionals in careers, but they also do support their development throughout coaching and continuous learning opportunities.
Oh, yes, you're correct. Can you describe a time when you had to handle a high pressure situation and how did you manage that?
Yes, of course. So there's this one time when I was working at a care facility. We were low on staff, and I had more patients to take care of for that day. So what I did, I sprung into action. I knew that I had to provide the same support to all of these patients, and I did it in a timely manner, and I made sure that they all received the same patient care.
Oh, it sounds like you're adept at managing pressure, which is great. This role also requires the ability to adapt to change and to want to learn continuously. How comfortable are you with that?
I actually thrive in environments that challenge me to learn and grow. I actively see professional development and opportunities for myself.
Okay. So let's turn it over to you. Do you have any questions for me about the position or the company?
Yes, I do have one question. What are some of the key challenges that someone would face in this position and allied up? Is it involved more in my career than just coaching?
Oh, yeah, those are great questions. I would say the biggest challenge would be learning the new processes and procedures that differ from where you're coming from. But I'm confident that you'll thrive in an environment that changes. And as for what we'll be doing, of course, we'll be here for you for coaching, and we'll be consistently checking in just to see how you're doing.
Thank you so much for this information, Kristen. I'm really excited about the possibility of contributing to this company, and I hope to hear from you guys soon.
Of course, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for your time, and we'll be in touch within the next 5 business days, okay?
Thank you.
All right, everyone. What are our thoughts about that interview interaction? Let's think of maybe some things that we covered in the presentation that you saw Francisco embody, perhaps. Yes, enthusiastic, engaged, and did his homework. 180 change, 100%. Much better, active. Something I really noticed is that Francisco had a lot more details about the type of work that he does, and he gave very specific examples. It shows that he's sure of himself and knows himself and his skills and abilities. Very professional, 100%.
And you could also tell with Kristen's responses and questionings. Yeah, she's awesome. But like how it kind of changed when she was actually getting this information out of him and was able to like move around with that and kind of dive in a little deeper, which is what people that are interviewing want to have.
Absolutely. What did we notice about Coach Francisco's body language? Or perhaps an outfit change? Did we see that? Yes, definitely curious and interested in the position. Sitting up straight. Eye contact. Yes, it's a big one. And he practiced active listening,
It's probably
willing to
hard to
learn
tell
more.
with the little video, but he was wearing like a kind of a hoodie before and kind of really casual, and now he has his collar.
Yes.
Yes, that was one of the things I did. Everyone, I did a different outfit change. So the first one, I came in super relaxed, hoodie, and I can testify. I've interviewed people. They've come in hoodies, and I've even questioned myself, what happened here. So remember, you want to have a good presence and well dressed. Usually some of these roles show up in your scrubs. You always want to make sure what the culture is. um I am not gonna lie, long time ago I myself showed up to an interview very sloppy, but I was 19 years old. I didn't know any better, but this is why we're giving you guys this useful information. And another thing too, when I did mention, to tell me about yourself, it was super simple. I didn't, overextend and overshare. It was straight to the point. Let them know I've had a couple years as a caregiver, also medical assistant, and I'm letting them know that I showed up because I'm here because this is something that I thrive to do. I like to show compassion to patients. So using these keywords, being compassionate, empathy, these are keywords that you definitely want to use in your vocabulary when you're in these interviews.
Also remember when you're in these, you have control, you have some power. You're also interviewing them. So I know a lot of times they're very stressful because you're going to be answering questions, but having those questions prepared ahead of time gives you a little control in that interview and makes you more confident, and that shows when you're interviewing.
Absolutely.
Any more questions coming in?
Any last questions, anyone? Let's see.
So everyone, that was the fun part of it. I'm super glad that we were able to role play with you guys. I think this is most beneficial, especially if we have you guys engaging. Makes it a lot funner. So again, I just want to let you guys know that we are here to support you guys free of charge. Whether it's a resume you need to be reviewed, whether it's helping with job searching, setting you up with Google Job Alerts, Glassdoor, can definitely help you with that. Whether it's an interview that's coming up, you need help with prepping with that, please reach out to us. Use us, utilize us. We're here to help, free of charge. Keyword, free of charge.
Awesome.
And yeah, Cisco, if you could go back to the slide I presented, I know I had somebody raise their hand. I want to make sure to answer their question. So I am sorry, I was so involved. I can't remember who had their hand raised. So
I believe
Oh,
it's, I don't butcher her name. I think Mariah Jones.
Yeah, Mariah, if you have any questions about what I was talking about being like punctual and kind of getting the tech going and body language materials, anything, if you have any questions, just please let us know.
No, actually, that was by mistake. So I didn't realize
Oh.
I had my hand raised.
But it's great hearing your voice. Thank you.
no worries.
Do you have any questions at the moment about the presentation at all?
No,
Great.
it was pretty
Okay.
straightforward.
Perfect. We did our job.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining, Mariah.
Likewise.
Again, everyone, like I mentioned, if you need us, please reach out to us. This is our contact information. If you're already working with us, circle back with us. If you need anything, we're here.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Right. And if you guys have any more questions, this concludes our webinar. We are going to be sending this webinar out to you guys. So everyone that joined, you guys are going to get a copy of this, of course. So any questions, please, again, reach out to us. If you guys have any more, we're still here. Other than that, thank you, everyone. You guys were amazing.
Thank you.